Thank you very much.
No worries.
No clicker for me. No clicker for me. Thanks very much. Are we flicking over to your other slide that you do? That would be great. Okay, cool. Although, can you please hold this for just 2 seconds? I have a small adjustment to make to the screen.
Yes, ma'am. Please hold, callers. Oh, yeah. So is this your slide?
Yeah, that's my new slide.
Do you require assistance? How about we swap places? I'll just hand that up. Here you go.
I'll just take over this. This is eating into my time. How do I fit all the success into 7 minutes? I can't, so I'll just give you the highlights. Because let's be honest, success is a shitty word. And it's a word that we hold up as terribly as the introduction, not fault, but by holding up startup theatre as an example of how well someone's done in their life. And on May 30th this year, I decided I wasn't going to play that game any longer. I'm sure some of you in this room probably read my fairly out there blog post entitled "How Raising $5.5 Million Over 12 Rounds of Funding Nearly Killed Me." Now you get who I am. He's been doing it all night. Look at me going, I know you. Oh, you're the girl that was lying in your bathroom full with a bottle of vodka and 27 sleeping pills lined up. It's really hard to say out loud. I can totally relate to, where is she talking and the voice breaking. I've only been able to talk about this out loud once before. And in fact, when Paulie asked me to come and speak, I turned her down because I'm not quite ready. And being the poster girl for having a fairly massive breakdown is an interesting position to find yourself in. Typical. Universe. Yeah. So I've been a digital entrepreneur. I've bucked the word entrepreneur for a long time because I am not an entrepreneur in the same way as I am not fat. I might have fat, but I am not fat. And I am not entrepreneur because that's just one part of my life. But I have been, for want of a better word, for 20 years. And I started my first tech startup when I was 20. But to put that into context, I know I look incredibly young. But I turned 40 a couple of weeks ago, and thank you, a few more snaps. I now ride an e-bike, and I listen to national radio, so I've arrived. But when I started out on my first startup, which was called NZ Girl, back in 1999, when some of you weren't even born, I had no idea what I was doing. I was entirely making it up as I was going along. And it's fair to say I still am today. Nothing's particularly changed in that, but what has happened over 20 years is I've developed a lot of battle scars, a lot of amazing stories, and I'm not sure I would replace any of it, but what I do hope to do is to learn from it and evolve as a human being into a much more well-rounded person who has a little bit more balance in her life. And I, as Ben keeps beautifully put, is I had put myself into the position of, well, or variety of things had got me to a place of being the superhuman startup founder. When you've done 5 startups, you've sold some, and you've raised like $10 million and had done all these things, you know, Flossie's been an extraordinary success in a whole variety of levels, but also has come with the expense of me and my life. And I heard someone the other night describe it as that she was an entrepreneur and that she lives and breathes, because that's what it is about. And that was what was killing me, is the fact that I was living and breathing it. And I was not spending any time on myself, and I was not getting any time for me or my family or my children. I had severe endometriosis and a whole variety of other health issues that had raised in the space of a 6-week window. I raised $1.5 million, I closed a couple of big deals, I restructured a team, I travelled to the other side of the world and back, Australia, several times. I had 3 operations in 6 weeks. Funny enough, it didn't work out that well. What a shock. And what I learned, or what I'm learning, is that resilience is not a personality trait. It's actually something that you have to a certain amount and then it runs out. What are you going to know? And so I'd been told for years that I was incredibly resilient, and I'd been told all these things, and I believed them to be true until it was no longer the case, and it floored me. And I basically found myself, for want of a better term, backed into a corner. And I didn't know how to get out of that corner. And so how I did it is I blew the corner up, and I blew my whole life apart. And I basically gave it all the big finger and said, it's taken too much, and I'm not letting it take it any longer. I'm going to live it a different way, and anyone who has a problem with this can get off the train. And it culminated in some things that I'm not going to say because we're probably going to be tweeted or recorded or shared, but you can ask me about it later. In a closed room, I'll tell you about some of the pretty big things that happen. But it's fair to say that right now I have the people around me that I need to have around me. And I've built a team that are supportive of each other, and they all are taking some of the weight on their shoulders. We build up this idea that the weight should be just on ours, that it's all up for us to do, and that if we don't do it, we won't be successful. And we hold up this idea of what success should look like, and we create Instagram stories of look at my life. And then we do Instagram quotes of you've got it, girl, and all the rest of it, and actually all of it doesn't really help. I actually just want to be able to say to someone, that was really hard, and I haven't solved this, and not feel like by doing so, they're going to think less of me or my ability to pull it off. Because it ain't easy doing something like this, taking an idea out of New Zealand and taking it on the global stage, particularly if you're in beauty tech, because, we're mostly male investors in this country, and they kind of pat you on the head and go, I don't know what that's about. So I've heard a lot of bald jokes. I really have. And that's not the journey we're going to do any longer. And so what I've decided to do is create space for myself. And that space, instead of filling it, I'm using it to learn more about who I am, and making that space available to others to kind of be part of as well. So we've started, Deborah's a little bit part of this at the moment as well, we've started a bit of a group of people to come together in a forum to talk, to be able to have a closed environment of feeling safe and not feeling like they have to be showing the here I am startup theatre. And I'm doing office hours. People come into my office next week and say, I don't care who you are, I don't care what you do, let's just hang out, tell me some things. I'm not going to share it with anyone else, I'm not going to tweet it, I'm not going to look for any brownie points, don't want to be paid anything. I just want you to feel like you've got some support. Because I get what it's like to feel like you're going to run out of money, when you've got weeks left and payroll of 12 people who are relying on you. And that pressure is just killing our startup economy. It's a 5% chance, less than, of succeeding in startups. And yet we still do it. So perhaps if we take away some of the theatre and start to put more support in place for each other in a real and honest way, maybe we'll have a better chance of succeeding. So that's where I'm at with it. That's what I want to do. And I believe it's possible to make it happen, and I still believe it's possible to take this beautiful thing that we've created over 50 iterations and $5.5 million. We've got 54,000 people in New Zealand who love us, and we're going to take them and take us to the world. And we're going to do it by helping each other and saying, hey, this is how I need help, and not feel like that means that I'm not good enough. So success, stories behind the success, damn, I'm going to write a book on that. There's a movie, because it's going to take way longer than 7 minutes. I've been divorced twice, and I'm on my third marriage. There's a lot of stories and all that. Come on, there's a few clicks in there. I have never sat an exam in my life. I've done nothing normal in any way, shape or form. There's nothing you could say that would shock me. I've had people that have run off with staff members and left bills behind and bought cars that they weren't supposed to, and all the things you could imagine have happened. And yes, they do make you resilient until that runs out. Because there's only so many knocks you can take before you actually just feel like, what's the hell's the point of doing any of this? So I encourage you to speak and understand the difference between burnout and mental illness and situational, and helping each other and listening. And that is all I have really to say.